The following program is an opinion program. The opinions expressed by the hosts and guests of this program are not the opinions of the management, staff, and advertisers of this station. Please direct all criticism, concern, and adulation to the hosts of this program.
Welcome to Alabama Politics. This week, I am Dale Jackson. I'm a radio talk show host. You can hear my shows Monday through Friday, 5 to 9 a.m. in Huntsville on WVNN, and then 1 hour from 10 until 11 on Talk 99.5 in Birmingham. It is the fastest hour of radio you will find anywhere right there in Birmingham from 10 until 11. With me, as always, Mecca Music from 256today.com. Smart news for smart people. She is the CEO, and we've got a lot to talk about today. Scott Buttram will be with us. He is the publisher of the Trussville Tribune. We'll talk with him about a couple of things going on in Alabama politics. We have a lot to talk about right now, so let's go ahead and get right to it. Let's get to the 2-minute warning. Is this where they get him, Mecca? Oh, no, not Donald Trump this time. Now we're talking about Joe Biden. Is this where they get him? I will bring up my death by 1,000 cuts thing that they did to Donald Trump. It's happening to Joe Biden. I mean, that's really what it is. You've got an impeachment, and then the next day you have a story about Hunter Biden finding himself under indictment for 3 gun charges. And I think what you're going to probably see is that is not going to be the only one you're going to see there. Now, Mecca, let's talk for a second here about this. Is this where they get him?
Okay. I have a question to go to before this. Remember last week when you were like, is this his worst week ever? No. This one is no.
I think the impeachment stuff, it can go either way.
Okay.
It can go either way. It could go either way for Joe Biden because the defense of Joe Biden is terrible, which is basically, yes, he did all this stuff, but it's not criminal. Which has changed from it never happened to nothing criminal. Now, I think the New York Times said evidence. Now they're saying no hard evidence.
Right.
Like I told you before, they need to have a check that on the memo line says for crimes in order for them to say, okay, there's some evidence.
No, but that is a good point. Even Tuberville has his doubts about, will this get results?
Oh, he changed his view pretty quickly. He went and sat down with Jim Jordan and James Comer and came back out. Those are members of Congress who are handling the impeachment, and came back out and said, I support this. He said he wants it to be ironclad. He says if you're going to take the step to actually do an impeachment, it better be ironclad. But I just have to ask this. What would it have to be for the United States Senate, controlled by Democrats, to actually impeach Joe Biden?
See, and I think that's where a lot of Tuberville's hesitation was coming from.
Yeah, he could be on camera eating a baby saying, I love crimes. I love doing crimes. Crimes are wonderful. Look at all these crimes I committed. And I still don't think that they would actually impeach him. I mean, and same thing with Trump. I said the same thing before. So that was a fruitless endeavor they went through. But here's why I think they will do the inquiry at least. It will force people to look at it and talk about it. Because you can go back and look at all things. The laptop's fake. Nothing's real. Nothing. And the goalposts have been moving so far that they're in a completely different stadium now. Okay, so we're just completely out of that. So let's move on and talk a little bit about the library, or some call it the library. Let's talk a little bit about that for a second. There are a lot of people very upset about some of the things in the library, and then there are a lot of people upset about the people who are upset about people that are upset about stuff in the library. Now, let's talk a little bit about this for a second. There are tons of books in every single library, and someone has to make the decision to say, no, we can't have this book. Is that censorship? No. Is it book banning? No. Is the removal of a book from a library, is that censorship or book banning? No. So let's move all that out of the way, because there are a lot of bad takes involved in this. I'm just concerned about the people who are wanting to go down this path that they don't understand the path that they're actually going down. There's a group called Read Freely Alabama, and they're making the argument that any book taken out for any reason is somehow an affront to freedom. And I think that's a position that cannot hold and will not win. Mecca?
Okay, so first of all, can you back up a little bit and talk about the events that have led to this most recent conversation?
Sure.
You had the library. Go ahead.
The Alabama public library system, they had a vote where they said, we're going to publish every book that is even remotely asked for removal. And what that's going to do is it's going to take these books and it's going to take it out of this opaque stage of To Kill a Mockingbird and Mouse and all these other things. No mockingbird's killed. Do something about that. You have all these things, and then you're going to get these genderqueer, all these other books, Flaming, all the other ones that people are actually complaining about, and you're going to give ammunition to people that want to challenge these books in other places. And I think that's what the library group or the Alabama Public Library System is doing. I think they're saying these are people who are voting for this are guys like John Walt, the head of the Alabama Republican Party. They
Who's
voted
also on the
unanimously to do
board.
this.
And if you read his comments, I think he made a case that a lot of people could agree with, that this isn't banning books.
Yep.
This isn't, an attack
You can
on
still
the First
buy it.
Amendment.
You can still do it.
Exactly, but just like movies have a rating system, that there are books that are appropriate for kids, just like there's movies that are appropriate for kids. And I think a lot of people are probably going to agree with him going forward.
Yeah, the unreasonableness of the people that are like, no books ever could be talked about, that the unreasonableness of that position fuels not only their opposition, but it also, I think, legitimizes them. Because I think people will look at this and say, hey, this book is bad because it has some very graphic sexual content in it, and it shouldn't be available for kids. And they're like, no, it must stay in the library. And it's like, okay. And when you're having that debate, I think you're going to lose. Let's talk about this special election in District 10. Now, I'm going to say this about this election. Democrats are very good at special elections. They have shown that they are very good at it. They can laser focus on different elections. They can pump money into it. They can pick good candidates. Now we have a candidate, one who lost in the last round to David Cole, who is now representing the Madison County prison system because he broke the law by voting in a place he shouldn't have voted. I think this is...
I feel like you should just say this topic to me. I feel like this should just go to me at this point.
Mecca, what do you think about this? Is this district in play?
Basically, yes. This is, we're talking about Marilyn Lance. She's the Democratic candidate who has now announced that she's running for the seat again. If you go back to the general election against Cole, it was 45 to 51%. Now, this is when everybody's, doing the straight tickets and stuff. Talk about what can happen. Funny things happen in special elections.
It becomes more about the person than the party. I mean, it really is, unless there's something else on the ballot, which there's not going to be. There's not going to be a constitutional amendment or anything like this. And if I'm a Democrat and I'm the Democrat leadership, I want to get this seat because of momentum and all this other stuff. And if I'm a Republican, I think, we're going to have the supermajority anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I don't think you're going to pump a bunch of money into it. But it's also worth noting when these lines were redrawn, State Representative Mike Ball was in this seat and he was on his way out. So when that happens, everyone around him goes, how can I better my district since Mike Ball is leaving?
Not here to defend those lines.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
And so how the other Republicans sort of nibbled away at his district, making that a more competitive seat. So Marilyn Lance, who worked with Mike Ball closely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I believe she ran his campaign or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She has cross-party appeal. She's already ran one campaign. She's got the name recognition. She already has this well-oiled machine in place.
This will be about Democrat turnout versus Republican turnout. I mean, the cross appeal only matters to people that will know her personally.
Right.
And things like this.
She knocked on probably nearly every door in that district. I'm just saying this is definitely a district and a race to pay attention to.
It's gettable.
It's going to be very interesting.
It's gettable for Democrats. I don't think there's any question about that. And there's not even a Republican out yet. All right, let's talk. Is there? Hold on, let's go back. Go ahead, Mecca. Tell me.
Okay.
You were supposed to handle this topic.
Go
ahead.
Okay, quickly. So the word is, if you read OTR on 256today.com,
of course, all the time.
As you should, you will see that the top Republican pick for a candidate is Teddy Powell. He is a sitting Madison City Council person, and he's well liked and well regarded. And if it comes down to a Powell versus Lance race, that is going to be extremely competitive.
Okay, maybe. So is he out yet?
There's some other.
I believe I said that he's not out yet. All right, just to make sure I understand that. Good thing we stopped me. All right, let's move on and talk about Dallas County. They have had a probate judge in Dallas County, Alabama, say, hey, you know what would be great? Why don't we have masks and bring them into the city administrative buildings? And everyone said, yeah, sure, fine. And Newsweek wrote an article saying a GOP state takes on masks, meaning they put on masks, when really it's one county in the Black Belt that did this. Mecca, are they the first of many?
It's just going to depend on where you are.
Okay.
And the numbers. I mean, just like everything else. What do you think?
I don't think so. I think this will be the first and maybe one of the last. I don't think we're going to see a massive number of areas putting on masks. Look, the areas to question are like the swing areas. Okay, if you tell me that Birmingham masks up tomorrow, fine. I don't know where. Montgomery, fine. Maybe even Mobile, you tell me they mask up, fine. But if Madison and Huntsville and Hoover, that is when it all starts. Now, the numbers are still super low. People are very sensitive to this issue, but the framing that we saw from some of the national media was like, even in red states, they're taking on masks. I mean, I think they just want masks. When I say media, I'm talking national media and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if I start hearing reports through masks like we did during the pandemic. I mean, there were national media reporters in their single newsrooms with their mask on. They were doing that.
Okay, well, considering that there are concerns about how effective masks are, on top of that, it's just not politically feasible.
Oh, it's politically silly, but it is a politically divisive issue.
It is.
I mean, you hear it all the time. I like it when people wear masks, so I know they're Democrats, or I like it when people don't wear masks because then I'll know they're Republicans. That kind of stuff.
Or maybe they have a compromised immune system.
Yes, I'm not saying it's a reasonable thing to say. I'm just saying people will take that position. It is very much a political issue. So blue states, blue school districts, you'll see that stuff come back. That is when people will start getting heated about this. I'm surprised that this is even allowed. What the legislature might do if a bunch of places do take up masking in regard. Can the legislature come in and say, no. We'll see.
If that's what your community wants to do.
I agree with you. I'm just saying the legislature has regularly said, oh, that's nice. Increase minimum wage, Birmingham? Let me tell you why you can't do that. Okay, so stuff like that has happened before. Let's take a quick time out. When we come back, Scott Buttram will be with us. He is with the Trussville Tribune. Stay tuned.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improved range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for my friends at University Kia. Now look, I love Kias. I've driven plenty of them. I used to have a Kia Sportage. When my son was born, my wife said, no, we got to get ourselves one of these big SUVs. The Telluride from University Kia is an absolutely amazing vehicle. You get it at a great price, but you get everything at University Kia at a great price. Learn more about them today. Head on over to universitykia.com. Find the perfect vehicle for you, new and pre-owned. They got it for you. universitykia.com.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here, and this is my son, Grant. Now, I'm here to talk to you about Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. He's a handful, I'm a handful, and if I want to stay married, I need Top Shelf Customized Cleaning to come and take care of my house. They do an amazing job for me, and they'll do an amazing job for you. Cindy loves them. I love them. Grant loves them as well. Check them out on Facebook. Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. And don't forget, call them today, 256-417-9122. And when you talk to them, make sure you tell them Grant sent you.
Here's an important message from the U.S. Med Diabetes Solutions Center. If you have diabetes, you know the pain of pricking your fingers. But now, by wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce your pain right away. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. Call the U.S. Med Diabetes Solutions Center to learn about this groundbreaking new CGM technology. If you have Medicare or private insurance, call to see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no cost. Shipping is free and will even bill your insurance company for you. US Med is the #1 rated supplier on Google and Facebook reviews. So call us right now to see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no cost. US Med. Better service. Better care.
Well, welcome back to Alabama Politics. This week, I am Dale Jackson. With me, as always, Mecca Music. And our guest this week is the publisher of the Trussville Tribune, Scott Buttram. He joins us to discuss a bunch of stuff going on here in the state of Alabama. Now, Scott, I am not a smart person. I'll just be completely honest with you. Thank God Grant has my wife's brains and my personality.
Very smart.
I need help with this. The
Okay.
current score needed to advance from 3rd to 4th grade in the next year is 352. The new score under this proposal put forward by Eric Mackey, the superintendent of state schools, I believe was 335, and that's less, right? Than the one that's lower. So this would be considered lowering standards before the Alabama Literacy Act, the thing that was supposed to fix reading across the state of Alabama. By stopping people from progressing until they hit a certain benchmark, they're lowering the standards there already before it even goes into place after delaying it twice. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. But and here's the problem: you're not taking into account Alabama math, which, just a refresher, our 8th graders were ranked 52 out of 50 states in math just a few years ago. Yeah, I read that this morning, and of course the premise is, well, the test is going to get tougher. So before we even start this thing, we need to go ahead and lower the bar. But we're not really lowering the bar because we're making the test tougher. If this is not the most Alabama thing in education I've ever seen, I don't know what is. And can we just keep in mind one thing, Dell and Mecca? We're not talking about teaching 2nd graders calculus. This is reading, the most fundamental thing that our schools should be able to teach. But we needed 4 years. We delayed the Literacy Act a total of 4 years. These teachers and teach them how to teach kids to read.
Yeah, that's true. You mentioned this Alabama math thing. Is that how Alabama got so many national championships? All right, this is a joke. Go ahead, Mecca. You can take it from there.
You literally interrupted me for that lame joke.
Yes, I know. Go ahead.
Okay, Scott, please let me get back to a real question here. There's been numerous studies that show if children are not reading proficiently by the 3rd grade, they will suffer their entire academic career, perhaps their life. How does this sort of change affect those kind of long-term outcomes?
Well, you kind of summed it up, Megan. There's a slogan, by the way, my wife has been a school teacher for 29 years, so I do have a little bit of understanding of this. And I think the saying is, from 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, you learn to read, and for their own, you read to learn. So let's think about this. If you're not reading at grade level, that affects every single thing you do academically. I mean, right down to being able to read the math instructions, right? Science involves a lot of reading. Obviously, English is going to involve a lot of reading. So if you're not reading on grade level, you, at about 3rd grade, you're going to immediately start falling behind. And since education is a layering process where you learn one thing so you can go to the next step and learn something else, if you're missing on the foundational level, you really, in some cases, never have a chance to make that up. I read an interesting article last about one of the things that we are trying to do in education, and this is more in math, is they're having high school who are struggling in math, and so what they're doing is going back and trying to retrace their entire math history to find out what that element was they missed that caused all of these problems for the rest of their academic career. They're having some success with that, but we can't do that with whatever number of students. What do we have, about 1 million students in Alabama? I don't even know the number, but you can't do that 1 million times. That's why it's so critical that we have kids with the ability to read on grade level by third grade.
Now, let's talk about this for just a second here, this whole reading side of this. Their fear is you're going to have a roadblock at fourth grade. Like the minute they implement this, and this was the program. This was designed this way to incentivize the teachers, incentivize the parents, incentivize the students. They're going to put a roadblock up, and there's no social promotion. They will bang their head against that wall, and that will become a problem on year one. There's going to be classroom reconfigurations. All these things are going to have to be done if there is a massive number of kids, and they're looking at a massive number of kids that are going to be laid back. Will lawmakers, and I've heard from some lawmakers already, they do not like this. They do not like the idea that it was paused the first time, but they went along with it because of the pandemic. I think that was just an excuse. They probably would have done it anyway. But
Agreed.
They don't want to go any further. They want to let this thing, let the chips fall where they may, and see where we actually are. Do you think anyone's going to be in favor of actually delaying this?
I don't think anyone other than Democrats. And by the way, let's remember the Democrats have fought this all along. And in fact, I want to interject this, Dale, before I get to your question. The Democrats have repeatedly said this is punishing kids. Punishing kids is sending an unprepared child to the next grade. I think that the appetite with the supermajority Republican, if they'll show themselves, will be not to lower the scores and not to delay this again. I don't think any of them are interested in that. On the other hand, we know how much AAA money is flowing into Republican elected leaders' pockets, and you never know what could happen. But I don't suspect they will delay it, and I don't suspect that they'll go along with lowering the score. Look, even if Mackey and school board president Kay Ivey, even if they truly believe this test is going to be tougher, so we need to lower the score, so we'll be treating the kids more fairly, even if they truly believe that, the optics of this is horrible. I mean, I couldn't believe I was reading the story this morning and thinking, we haven't even implemented this thing, and y'all are already trying to water it down.
Well, I'll tell you this, and this I think is interesting about this. It doesn't even have to be done through the legislature. I mean, the legislature is going to respond to this. It could be done through the school board. The school board could do this. And I got to ask, Mecca, you can answer this too. What's worse optics? This, where they lower the standard, or at the end of next year where there's a glut of kids that don't move forward? Which one's going to have? Which is going to have more of a political impact? Mecca, you want to give me a shot? You're a parent.
I mean, obviously, I would say, I would obviously say a glut of students being held back would have the largest impact.
I think so too. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I agree with that, and that is one reason that we need to change the narrative. We're not punishing kids. We're not hurting kids. We're saving kids by holding them back until they can do the work. Now, let's also remember there's another element to this. It's not simply we're holding kids back. Those kids will be held back, but they will get intensive individual instruction and learning to help bring them up and to speed that process. Also remember this, guys. The ACAP scores, I believe, are done twice a year. So you've got fall scores and then you've got spring scores. The spring scores will be the ones that will determine whether or not the student has met the literacy mark. The fall scores simply tell the schools where those kids are.
Yeah.
So those kids, they're going to be tracked beginning in pre-K, but even in second grade or third grade when this decision is made, administrators, teachers, educators are going to know in the fall where that kid stands and what work has to be done to have him ready to move forward in the spring. So,
well, and remember, Scott, when they were delaying it during COVID, that was one of the arguments, that this will give kids time. And we had this debate, but we all agreed, I think it was hard to learn during COVID, during virtual learning. My kids had, it was a difficult, challenging time. So the reason for delaying the implementation was so that they could identify those who are struggling and need to catch up.
Yeah, I think it was used as I think
That's right.
You probably would have seen this delay anyway. I think you could have got one delay out of the legislature. That was just the example or the reason they used.
Right.
And again, I don't think that's bad.
I think that's legit. I think they were legitimate.
I agree with you. I think because the COVID thing was a question mark for everybody. So we didn't know where it was and all these other things. The losers in that scenario were the kids that move forward who can't read. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say kids are losers, but in this scenario, if there's winners and losers, they're the losers in that scenario because they're going to have a problem going forward. One quick question here before we get you out of here, Scott, and we got to get going. The library debate seems to be almost a national divide. Democrats, Republicans. You seem to have this fight. Lawmakers are saying we'll mess with funding. We will, in fact, play in this world. We have no problem doing that if these things continue. Is anyone listening to them throwing that threat around? Because it doesn't really sound like they are.
I don't know if anybody's listening or not. I've been very disappointed that conservatives have not taken better control of the narrative and ended the talk of censorship and explained that what this is really about is placing the books in the appropriate area. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I've been shocked at some Alabama communities who have caved in pretty easily. So we'll just have to see what happens going forward.
Yeah, this is a real, if you want to pay attention to how government works, this is it. Representative Republic, representative democracy, you're seeing it right here. You are seeing people say, I don't like what's happening here. I want to do something about this. And you're seeing people react to that, elected officials on a bunch of different levels. And I think you're going to see a lot of this, especially once that list is published by the Alabama public library system, you're going to start seeing the names of these books, and then you're going to start seeing some of the details of some of these books, and people, I think, are going to have their minds blown. It's not To Kill a Mockingbird. It's other stuff, and I think people are going to be blown away. But Scott, thank you very much. Scott Buttram, the publisher of the Trussville Tribune. Thanks to him for being here. Mecca, you're out of here, so the show's going to get a lot better. We got a party shot coming up next. Stay tuned. It's Alabama Politics This Week.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improved range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for my friends at University Kia. Now look, I love Kias. I've driven plenty of them. I used to have a Kia Sportage. When my son was born, my wife said, no, we got to get ourselves one of these big SUVs. The Telluride from University Kia is an absolutely amazing vehicle. You get it at a great price, but you get everything at University Kia at a great price. Learn more about them today. Head on over to universitykia.com. Find the perfect vehicle for you, new and pre-owned. They got it for you. universitykia.com.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here, and this is my son, Grant. Now, I'm here to talk to you about Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. He's a handful, I'm a handful, and if I want to stay married, I need Top Shelf Customized Cleaning to come and take care of my house. They do an amazing job for me, and they'll do an amazing job for you. Cindy loves them. I love them. Grant loves them as well. Check them out on Facebook. Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. And don't forget, call them today, 256-417-9122. And when you talk to them, make sure you tell them Grant sent you. Welcome back to Alabama Politics This Week. I am Dale Jackson. Thank you very much for being here. Before we jump into the parting shot, let's remember, head on over to yellowhammernews.com. Sign up for my email blast, and you'll get the 7 things you should be talking about today delivered directly to your email inbox every single day. I went to a Seinfeld concert this week, still came home that night, put together the 7 things just for you. Go to yellowhammernews.com, sign up for that today. Right now, though, let's go ahead and get to the parting shot. All right, I want to talk real quick about these masks yet again. So my parting shot is for the people who are still suggesting we put these things on kids. It's happening in school districts all over this country. You are seeing more and more, like we mentioned before, you have the Dallas County system, not the school system, but the municipal system saying, okay, bring those masks back. If you want to see the legislature react to anything, start putting masks back on kids in schools. Trying to do so and see how they react to this. I think this will be something that gets a lot of reaction from them. I don't see it happening anytime soon. The numbers are still very low in comparison to where they were at the peak, And, of course, the masks don't work. There's that issue to it all as well. But people feel like they do, and they feel like it makes them feel better. And anything that they take any step to make them feel as if they're doing something in fighting this, I think people will advocate for that. And that's reasonable. I mean, that's just how people are. But when they start going back on the kids here in the state of Alabama, if that happens, you will see a pretty strong reaction from the legislature and from the people, I believe. So we'll see if that actually does take place. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for being here and listening all across the state of Alabama. It's Alabama Politics This Week. We'll talk to you soon.